Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special Q&A session today, because today Coach Michelle is going to moderate.
It's true. The pressure is on. My palms are sweaty. I'm ready.
That's what it means.
That's what it means.
Right? You had kind of an insight about that.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad. I just was like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. Was this on one of our coach chats? I can't remember, because sometimes we all get together as coaches and we just talk about what's going on. And we're talking about how sometimes before you do something, maybe it's a video like this, or it could be a call with a client, anything, maybe you start to get some nerves. And how sometimes if you interpret that as, oh no, I'm feeling nervous, that it can actually really add to your stress, and how important not just stress, but your perception of stress can be with how you experience it. And so it was that concept of, if you start to feel nerves before you're doing something important, you can kind of reframe it and go, okay, I'm ready. That means I'm ready. So that's how I try to interpret stuff like that, because even though I feel like we've made a lot of videos, like it's no longer new to me, I still will get nervous before making, and especially live videos. Like right now, I was not joking. I'm like clammy palms and everything, but I'm like, okay, that means I'm ready to go, as opposed to it being a really bad thing. So
totally. And you said that, was it musicians, artists, or athletes that said that they actually wanted to feel that way?
Yeah, it was, there have been a bunch of studies. I can't really quote them, but I remember reading a bunch of studies around how our perception of stress then influences our actual physiological experience of stress in our body. So it completely changes that. And I remember at the time there was somebody was pulling these stories. They had interviewed people who are performing at really high levels, right? Really, let's say famous musicians, or somebody competing in the Olympics, or some sort of high level athlete. And a lot of the interpretation from people that were at these really high levels of performance had completely reframed stress for themselves. And so it was really, they would start to feel that those nerves coming on, and they were like, oh, okay, good. Now I know I'm going to have like an edge today, or something like that. It was that reframing that allowed them to go forward, as opposed to thinking, oh, people in those positions just don't get nervous, right? They get nervous too. It's just they've worked with it so much more than, let's say, the average person, I think.
Absolutely. And when you said like, oh, by the way, Leo, is there an echo? Tell me if I'm echoing.
I don't hear an echo. Maybe Leo, who is asking questions right now, can tell us if he's listening to us live.
That's what I'm thinking. Leo or Brandon, if I'm echoing, just write that in the comments. Yes, echoing. I knew it.
No, I don't hear it.
Let me try something different.
Do you want to try without the earbuds and see what happens?
Yeah, let's take those out.
Worst.
And I think there's still an echo. So now I'm gonna, maybe I'll just stop talking.
Somebody else try this. I hear an echo too. Thank you, Marcy. Yep, Brandon.
Of course, now I removed my camera.
Daniel's just gonna leave me. Echo solved. Amazing. Well, let me ask you this, for those who are here right now, is the echo for myself as well, or is it just Daniel? Because maybe as you fiddle around, maybe I could start answering a question, but if I'm echoing too, then there's a bigger problem.
Okay, how about now?
Hi, Andrew. See, I still can't. So Daniel, are you hearing it?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to live with the echo, I guess.
Oh, no, it's so annoying when that happens. Technology is very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So somebody was saying it was just you, Daniel. Still, and then Marcy says still Daniel. I don't know why. That's so odd how this happens sometimes, but it's the same setup as before.
I think nothing to do about it. We have to live with the echo.
We're going to roll with it, guys. We're going to ride the wave of this echo. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull our first question here. Hold on. All right. Our first question is from Leo. And he says, I have a set goal lately to be happy/okay, even if I don't sleep well, instead of the goal to improve my sleep. And I thought that even if I spent a whole week without sleeping as good as I wish, I will see the positive in my life and all the blessings that I have. This is day 3 of the goal setting. I could not shift my focus to the blessings. I am always thinking that my sleep is not good. Interesting. So Daniel, what do you think when you hear this?
Yes. First of all, I want to say glad you're here, Leo, and I would say that naturally, we can see that if I was happy, okay, with not sleeping, if I didn't sleep well, things would be much easier for me, because then I wouldn't be judging myself, I wouldn't feel stressed, etc. You can see that that's really, really nice. The tricky thing is we don't have that direct control. So when we try to make ourselves think something, it often becomes the opposite of what we want, because our brain is kind of like thinking, if I don't think this, well, that's a problem, that's an issue, and then we're trying to think, no, not an issue. You should be thinking this. Like, if I don't sleep well, there should be this fine, etc. And then we have this internal conflict. And the thing is, like, no human being able to live control their thoughts. So what happens is when we try to suppress the thoughts, I'm not okay or happy when I sleep well, then actually becomes amplified. That's what the brain wants to hear. It's kind of a warning message that it wants to get across. So I say that it sounds really paradoxical or odd, but I would say when you have this as more of like a new, I don't know, like you could see that, yeah, it'd be nice if I was okay, even if I didn't sleep well, but I can't force that. And we're not trying to force our thoughts or emotions or force any inner experience, then actually it triggers off. And we feel lighter, and then we want to see happens by itself. So that's kind of what comes to mind when I see this.
Yeah, very similarly. And I understand, Leo, how frustrating it can be when you're kind of like wanting to shift in that way and it's not really happening. And I have to say, Daniel, I could hear the echo there quite a bit too. So I couldn't hear everything you're saying, because a lot of times I like to come in and kind of add to what you said and kind of work with it. So I apologize. I won't be able to do that as much today, which is, I'm sure kind of a bit annoying, but I just thought I'm going to share, and hopefully I don't repeat what you just said, Daniel, because normally I try not to do that either, but we're going to just do our best today with everything. So I was going to say that Leo, completely understand, and that's a frustrating experience. And part of it too is that while I love your intention around, you know what, I just want to be okay, regardless of all my, like, whatever happens with my sleep. I think that's a wonderful intention. And then when we come into that, we're usually coming into that from a place of already having a lot of our thoughts and focus on our sleep for a very long time. And that can kind of become a habit, just like anything else. So sometimes we're like, okay, I'm going to shift into this kind of thinking, when in reality, your thinking has been focused on sleep for probably a long time, or at least a consistent amount of time, to the point where it's going to be habitual. These sleep-related thoughts are going to automatically be coming up. And then it can be really easy for us to be hard on ourselves, to say, oh, I told myself I would think this, and this is actually what's happening. And really, it's so normal for that to be the case. And maybe if you could see it as like these types of anxious thoughts about my sleep, it's part of the habit that my brain has right now. That can take time to shift. And also it can help just as a starting point to notice when that's happening. Maybe you're having a lot of anxious thoughts around your sleep, and instead of going, oh, I shouldn't have those, or I should change these thoughts into these kinds of thoughts, can you start by bringing a little bit more awareness to whatever thoughts are there, and just start at that point and create a little bit of space between you and those thoughts, so that they feel like there's less of, that they're causing a little bit less struggle. If that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's where I would go. Let's keep moving along to the next one. So Daniel, do you think, I noticed you put your earbuds back in. You think that?
I'm trying.
Sounds better on my end. No. We give up, eh? We give up today. We're just, bear with us, everybody. Okay, so hi, Brandon. And he says, would you say insomnia ends when you're less afraid of being awake rather than when you get X amount of hours? Or is it a combination of both? I'm less afraid, but still doing some tracking of my hours per night. Okay, so I really like this question. I think that so much about insomnia is about anxiety and fear and how that's really the fuel that keeps so much of it going. And so when you're saying, is it really when you're less afraid of being awake, or is it about a certain amount of hours? I would say it's much more about the mindset we have around things, about being less afraid around being awake, as opposed to chasing, my insomnia only ends if I get X hours of sleep per night. And if anything, when we work with people, we're trying to have them focus less on, number of hours on, and focus less on tracking, and kind of create a little bit less attachment to the number of hours. And so I would say that mindset around your sleep and your experience with moving through your anxiety and fear is so much more important, and so much of more indicative of when insomnia ends. What do you think, Daniel?
Yes, very much.
Very much. Now,
actually,
my
is so
so
bad
bad
that it's hard to
hard to
understand
understand
what
what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying.
So I'm
Do you
just
want
going
me
to
to
say
say
very
very
short
short
things.
things.
One
Drew
syllable.
From
From
the
the
anxious
anxious
truth
truth
said
said that
recovery is
is
when we're no
no
longer
longer
wondering if we
if we
recovered
recovered
or
or
not.
not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
all
that's
I'm
all
going
I'm
to
going
say
to say
about that.
about that.
Now you
Now
keep
you
going.
keep going.
I like this because, Jan, you can come in with some really deep philosophical quotes, and then just that's perfect. Yep, I'll keep going. And I agree. I heard there was another quote, and I can't remember from where, so I can't give the credit, but the idea of stepping back and letting recovery come to us, as opposed to constantly chasing it, and how that can be another kind of sign that you're, on the path. Okay. Hold on a second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, hello Yash. And Yash is saying, I keep falling asleep before my sleep window of 11 to 6. Usually between 8 and 11, I am struggling to stay awake while watching 4C with my wife. And then when the timeless window arrives, I am awake. So yeah, this is really common, to be kind of really sleepy. Maybe you're watching TV like you mentioned, and then all of a sudden you try to go to bed, and that's it. You're completely awake. And Daniel likes to call this the Houdini effect, because it's like all of a sudden you pop awake, right, for no reason at all. And this is all part of having insomnia. It's a really normal experience, and this happens a lot of the time because your brain has really identified, that being awake at night isn't safe. It's a threat, and a lot of the times the nighttime itself, right, can start to feel that way. Maybe your bed can start to feel that way too, and it can make us feel very awake. And the other thing that really comes into play too is oftentimes when you're sitting on the couch and you're watching TV, you're not trying to sleep at all. And then the moment you go to bed, suddenly it's like, well, now I'm trying, and now there's pressure. And the moment that pressure is there, now you can't sleep and you're wide awake, because it's kind of generating that hyperarousal. So that's just something to think about. Think about the idea of, in one situation, you're not trying so hard, and the moment you go to bed, it probably shifts. So that's just a starting point to think about. Okay, I want to switch. I don't want to pass it over to you too much, Daniel, because I know you're trying to, but do you want to mention anything there before I keep going on?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to say the echo is gone.
I think it is.
Oh my goodness. The echo is gone. Wow.
Wow.
I can
speak.
speak. Or the echo is much less, at least in my
my
ears.
ears.
I hear no echo. It might
Okay.
be on. It might be a miracle. Let us know.
Look at
Look
that
at
one.
that one.
Now, I want to say,
That's so
on a
funny.
serious note, I would say that I routinely fall asleep while reading to my kids every night. And sleep just fine later on, right? And I just point this out that sleep drive is a real thing, but it's not what really matters. So if Yash is noticing that they're falling asleep, then it's really not a problem unless we think, oh, this is messing up my sleep drive.
Yeah.
So just knowing that can be really helpful. And the other thing, this time of sleep window, it's just this invitation to let go. So as you said, if we think of it as a timeline, now something starts. Well, what starts is kind of an invitation to let go and not to sleep, but to let go. And we have that countdown to sleep. That's tricky. If it's a countdown to nothing in particular, just letting go, that can help.
Yeah. No, very, very good point. All right, gonna keep moving here. It says, hi guys, I'm happy you're streaming. I've been watching your videos for a few days, truly helpful. Thank you. However, I'm suffering from annoying hypnic jerks for 2 months. Could anxiety have triggered this? So great question. Yes, absolutely. So this is one of many different symptoms that we can have when we're experiencing anxiety and hyperarousal. So just know that it's a completely normal symptom to experience. We can also have more hypnic jerks when we're feeling sleep deprived as well. That comes into play. But just know that even though they can feel really unpleasant, it's a very normal symptom. And oftentimes what can happen is, because they feel so unpleasant, we can start to become a little bit fixated on them and start to try to make them stop or try to prevent them. Or maybe it happens and we react with a lot of fear. And sometimes that will even intensify the experience that we're having and kind of reinforce, right, to our brain that, ooh, that's not okay. And sometimes we get more of them because we've reinforced it that it's such a problem with more and more fear. So the best thing to do when you notice, okay, I'm having these hypnic jerks now, is to know, okay, they can't hurt me. This is a normal, common symptom to have with anxiety and also when you're sleeping less, and to see if you can actually work on allowing them to come and go as opposed to fighting back so much. So that's kind of what I would say for that. Daniel, anything you want to kind of add on the hypnic jerk front? Yeah.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
We have a whole playlist on hypnic jerks. Check it out. And can we look at Zev? Because Zev was in my small discussion.
Right here? Yeah. Sorry, Zev. I think I missed you accidentally. Some of this, it's a little stressful with the echo. I'm like, guys, I'm a little hyper aroused working with the echo. My clammy palms have gone to full sweat. Okay, Zev, hello. Thanks for your patience. Didn't mean to pass over there. So Zev says, I have been trying a sleep window for a few weeks now. Started really well, but it's taken a dip and have been having restless sleep every night where it feels like I'm getting no rest. So I want to pass it right over to Daniel. What are some of your thoughts on this?
I want to say that I'm glad that things were easier first. Mm-hmm. And that is real. When sleep happens easier, it's always from letting go, trying less. And when we, for example, say, I'm just going to get up at this time, I'm going to stop checking the time at this time, that can become this invitation that we take, and we're not trying, and sleep happens easier. But the idea that sleep happens by itself, that we have no control, is not very appealing to our control-minded brain. Yeah. So after a while, it can go, aha, this sleep window is working. I've got it. And then automatically, we're no longer effortless. We're now trying again. And then we have some restless sleep. And just seeing this can be an aha moment where we see, aha, it was actually not a sleep window working, but myself taking the invitation built in that sleep window of letting go of control. That was the magic. Yeah. And then we automatically are back on a path where we're letting go, sleeping easier, feeling more rested.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's really common too, right? To have that, it's starting positive and then to come into some struggle with it. Very, very common. All right. I'm going to keep moving to, I think Andrew might be the name. Okay, Andrew, hello. This might sound like a circular argument, but I'd say you're recovered when you're not wondering, checking whether you're recovered or not. I like this. I think that's really great. I can see, Daniel, you're nodding. Yeah, this resonates.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what I shared before from Drew in a little different take.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is Andrew who coined mapasti.
No, the Andrew, Daniel? Well, hello, Andrew. This is great. Okay, hold on here. All right, and Michael is saying, thank you for all you do. The only thing that can make me sleep is Lunesta. Are you guys against medication for sleep? It's been 3 years of insomnia. So first of all, Michael, I'm so sorry that you've been struggling for 3 years. I really empathize a lot. I struggled for 5 years before recovering from insomnia. I know exactly how hard it is. And I also understand feeling like there's certain things that are the only things that can make you sleep. And so, you know, while we can't really share medical advice, you know, in this Q&A by any means, you know, there's this sort of like, we talk a lot about how there's really nothing out there that can actually make you sleep, because there's that implied controllability, right? If I do this, then I will definitely sleep. That's not to say medication can't be helpful, and you know, even sedating at times and all these types of things. And so I definitely understand feeling like this is the thing making you sleep, but sometimes it can be helpful to know that even if the Lunesta, is being helpful, that it's your body and brain that is actually allowing and helping you to sleep, right? The sleep is coming from you. It's not coming from the medication. So we are not against, you know, medications. We always encourage people to talk to their doctors and do what feels right for them in the moment. And really we focus kind of on supporting people around, well, what is your kind of perception of medication? Because that's something that sometimes we find, Daniel, that people can really struggle with, is maybe they're taking a medication, but they are feeling like they shouldn't, or there's a lot of stress and tension around the medication. And so we talk a lot about how we can help people remove that stress and tension and view it as self-care. And so we have people going through our programs and coaching who are on medications, who aren't on medications, who are, you know, somewhere in between, kind of going, it's all of it is okay. And we always just support people doing what's right for them. So what do you think, Daniel, as I ramble on a tangent here? Pass it over to you so you stop.
Not at all. Made perfect sense. And I really want to highlight that I found no evidence that medications are harmful from a medical standpoint. No medical advice again, but generally speaking, these medications have been out there for decades.
Yeah.
And what can be surprising is how we often emphasize that there's no problem with medication because we emphasize education so much.
Yeah.
But we're absolutely not against medication. In fact, I would say, if somebody said, oh, medication is bad, you have to get off of it, what does that do? It just creates even more pressure to sleep.
Yeah.
Right? So absolutely not. And that's all. Yes.
Yeah, agree. Always do what's right for you. Always. All right, one last question before we wrap up from Monica. She says, hello. I'm not sure what to do during wakefulness hours. Is it okay to watch TV when I've been told to reduce screen time? Yes. Good question. And yes, it's absolutely okay. And so this is one of, you know, one of our controversial takes on this is, yeah, it's absolutely okay to, you know, watch some Netflix at night. It's completely all right. And I know that a lot of the times the advice around reducing screen time comes from the concern around blue light. And while I'm not saying there's no science around blue light, it certainly is, it's really not what is at the core, what is driving insomnia. So it's just, when it comes to insomnia, we really do focus on that, the anxiety, the fear, how the brain has learned fear. And if you think about it, Monica, you may have a time in your past where you slept just fine and you were watching a bit of TV before bed and it didn't really matter. And so I think sometimes we can get really, really caught up in the rabbit hole of all of this, what I want to call a sleep optimization, right? And I know I did this during my insomnia. I didn't have any screen time at night. If I did, I was wearing blue blockers. I had Flux on my computer. I would dim my lights in the evening. I did all of this stuff that would be considered really excellent sleep hygiene and sleep optimization. And really none of it mattered because that wasn't really the problem. That wasn't what was driving my insomnia. So that's kind of shifting the focus away from blue light and going, you know what, blue light's not the problem here. And so because it's not the problem and it's not what's causing your insomnia, we do basically say to people, sure, absolutely, it's definitely okay if you want to watch some TV. What gets tricky is sometimes people have been told to be really afraid of screens for so long that then they begin to watch, let's say, their favorite show before bed, and the experience of it becomes so stressful because they feel like they're doing something wrong. So keep an eye out for that and go, oh gosh, look at this stress because I feel like I'm doing a horrible thing. And you can just be with that and notice where that comes from and know that it's not a horrible thing. And so Daniel and I always give permission for people to watch TV again. What do you think, Daniel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's often becomes the tricky thing is when we avoid something in an effort to control sleep, right? We don't watch TV because we hope that not watching TV will make us sleep.
Yep.
That is tricky. And to add to that, when we do something like blue blocking glasses or earplugs or a white noise machine, what it looks like we're trying to block is light. But we're really trying to block the emotions inside us that come from how we think about the light.
Yeah.
What we're trying to block is not sound, but the emotions inside us that come from what we think the sound will do.
Yes.
And we know when we're trying to block something inside us, it becomes stronger.
Yeah.
So it's an invitation to freedom and do what we feel like.
It's true. I think this echo thing actually worked in our favor today, Daniel, because everything you said is today it's been this deeply philosophical. I'm off rambling trying to so I think it ended up pretty well, but I think we'll wrap up on this question. And thanks everybody for joining our Q&A today. And I think that the funniest comment was, I can't remember who said it, but was it Brandon who said it sounds like God's voice from above? So that I think was worth it, worth the whole thing, because that's pretty funny. So, all right, well, thanks everyone, and we will see you next time.